Number 13, from the spec sheet. So if you go to the very back of this document, we have the spec sheet for diodes 4001 through 4007. So, spec sheets are very important in electronics, in electricity, in digital circuits. We will work with spec sheets all the time. So that's why we want to learn about some key parameters in this diode, for these diodes. So number 13 says that we've got a diode 4004. We want to find out its maximum current rating without destroying the diode. Note, it is identified as the average output current. So basically what we're saying is that in a circuit like this, the maximum current that should be in this diode is about 1 amp. Okay? That's a lot of current when you think about it. It may look like just a number 1, and in terms of an amp, but we know better that it takes only a few milliamps, 20 milliamps, 50 milliamps, 100 milliamps for it to do damage, whether it is holding both hands in a circuit and you've got 100 milliamps of current flowing from one end of your hand through next to your heart to the other side of your hand. 100 milliamps can do damage to the heart. Okay, so 100 milliamps is a tenth of an amp, and these diodes are able to handle as much as 1 amp. So if you look at your table, then output current rating is I0, and it is given to be 1 amp. So that's number 13. It says, what is the current rating of these diodes? All of them are good for 1 amp. Everybody found the 1 amp on the chart? It is about the second or third line in the maximum ratings. Let's look at number 14 now. From the spec sheet, for the 4003, identify the maximum reverse voltage that can be applied to the diode without destroying it. So, let's draw a graph of the diode. We talked about this graph last semester, last class. Voltage forward, current forward, 0.7 volts. Okay, that's forward. Reverse is when you have the diode connected backwards and it can handle a lot of voltage. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. In the case of the 4003, if we go to the table in the back, it is identified as peak repetitive reverse voltage, VRRM. Okay, how much? 200 volts. So it can handle up to 200 volts here. And after that, it can get damaged. It will basically disintegrate. Okay, it is so much force on it that it will crack and break up and heat up and get damaged. So that's what the 4003 can handle. If I had a 4005, how much voltage can it handle reverse? If it was a 4005. How much? 600 volts. If it was a 4007, 1,000 volts. Okay? So this is the kind of question I'll ask you on a quiz on Friday next week. What is the maximum reverse voltage of 4007 can handle? and I'll give you the table. Of course, I won't expect you to memorize it. Number 50. From the spec sheet, 4002. What is the forward voltage across the diode at the maximum current rating? So, for the 4002, what we're talking about is this, maximum forward current rating. We said in number 13 that the maximum current is 1 amp. How do we show the 1 amp? In this graph, somewhere up here, I've got 1 amp. Do you follow? Because that is my scale. The vertical scale is for current. So 1 amp is some value way up there. And if I go across and I come down, then this voltage is the voltage that I'm looking for in number 50. And the graph and the chart indicates that as VFM. FM. Did you find the value? 1 volt. So VFM, forward voltage, is 1 volt. So 0.7 is where it just starts to act like a closed switch, and for low currents, it's going to be close to 0.7, okay? So 0.69, 0.7, 0.71, 0.75, but if you crank up the current, there is a little bit of a slope, and that slope means that at about 1 amp, you can have a forward voltage of 1 amp, or 1 volt. So remember we talked about 0.7? That 0.7 is not 0.7 if the current is 1 amp in a diode. If the current is 1 amp, then that 0.7 is now how much? 1 volt. So the 0.7 is a rule of thumb, okay? We're never going to use a diode right to its limit of 1 amp. You'll typically have a diode, it'll be happy at about 20 milliamps, 50 milliamps, 100 milliamps, and your voltage across will be 0.7, 0.75, in that neighborhood. But if for some reason it goes as high as 1 amp, then that voltage is 1 volt across the diode. That's what that is. Okay, so that's our notes for the diodes.